Hello and welcome. I think we are going live here. So this is the first live call for Lexi's Light Holistic Healing. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Lexi Stead. And I'm going to give a few minutes here to see if anyone else is going to join us. I had kind of a off night last night. It was really strange. I went to bed super early as my kids are visiting their grandparents in Illinois, so I don't have my regular routine and my schedule has been all off. But I was tired, so I went to bed super early, and of course I was up by 2 a.m. wide awake. And so I was up and I just did some crafting and kind of played around a bit, and then by 6 a.m. I was ready to go back to bed. So I did. And it's always weird when you go back to bed, at least for me, after being up during the night, because then I have all these weird, fitful dreams, and it's never a good sleep. It's just a sleep. And one of my dreams I had was I was kind of sitting in my yard, and it was being flooded with all this murky, dark water, and I was just floating just above it. And I was just so calm and peaceful, just floating above all this nasty, murky water, watching everything in my yard and my neighborhood kind of disappear. And I thought, well, that's a really interesting dream for everything that's going on right now. And, the election here in the U.S. and a lot of other stuff in the country here, that's kind of how I feel. I'm not really immersed in any of it. I'm just floating above it, not really paying much attention, but, just allowing everything else to be. So anyway, for those of you joining us live, I'm Lexi Stead. And so those of you who have known me for a while now knew I was I am a certified holistic nutritionist. And my business recently has taken a transformation from being a nutritional consultation to me becoming more aligned with my intuitive gifts and becoming more of an emotional well-being and spiritual guide and mentor. So thank you for coming to my first live video. This is really a big step for me in putting myself out in front of people and just seeing what happens here with the flies. So if you have any questions or comments during my conversation, about whatever I say, or if there's something that you would like some insight on, I have more of a spiritual, metaphysical perspective on life, then feel free to put your comments down in the comment section. I believe they roll in here. I can see we already got one. Hi, Chris. Yeah, I'm so lucky I don't have any loud children right now, and I'm sitting outside, but we have construction in our neighborhood. They're expanding our neighborhood, so hopefully it doesn't get too loud here. So let me know if you have any comments or questions. I did get some email questions from some other people here who couldn't join us, so I will just go ahead and start. Let's see. Okay, so one of the questions I got that I get quite a bit when I talk about how I healed my illness. I have ulcerative colitis, and it was pretty severe for about 15 years, long time with disease. I was diagnosed when I was 17, and I was very into holistic medicine, and so I did a lot of different treatments, a lot of different diets, and holistic health treatments, and those, they helped to get me by, but nothing was really lasting for healing. And then I explored the Western medical side and did some medications and other things, which did not help me heal my body at all, but it did help me get through some of the most toughest, most painful symptoms. But the way I basically healed my ulcerative colitis, it's been in remission for 2 years now, is really going inward and becoming more aware of how my thoughts and beliefs and my perspective of life was affecting my health, and how I was really holding on all my emotions, most of those from childhood, a lot of stress and worry and fear and anger, and all of that in my gut. I remember, being 5 years old and swallowing down my emotions so I wouldn't cry in school. I had a really hard time with bullies and teasing in school, and I didn't want to appear weak, so I would swallow it down instead of feeling it and just hold it all in my gut. And so one of the questions I get most probably from people is, how do I become more present within myself, and how do I become aware of what is really going on, whether you've been diagnosed with a physical illness, or whether you're just stressed, whether you're in a job that is not really fulfilling for you, whether you're a parent and you find yourself, not super excited or not super enjoy and in love with life when you're, around your kids, whether you're working or you're a stay-at-home mom. I stayed home, and I know at least the first 7 years for me, I was really stressed out, and I would get, really burnt out of being home with the kids, and it wasn't always a fun experience for me. But when we are, one of the ways we can become present within ourselves too is to go outside. I always had a deep connection to nature, and being in nature, like right now, always grounds me, except when the flies are coming at my face. And just sitting and listening. And, I spent a lot of time when I was first wanting to figure out and explore what was behind my illness emotionally. I would sit outside. Oftentimes I was too sick to exercise or go for a walk, but I would sit outside and I would just, do some deep breathing and just really kind of focus on the trees and on the birds, flowers, the insects. I would just focus on things in nature that were present and were still. And I did that a lot with my kids too, and I think that really has helped my kids in life too become more grounded and more relaxed, is just being in nature all the time. When we would get frustrated in the house, we'd come outside and we'd sit, and I would, if they'd have a little tantrum, I would just teach them to sit in the dirt and, let it all out. and then you can become more aware and more present within yourself and what's really going on. What are you really feeling? If you think about it, most kids that I've observed, especially as a parent, and I know a lot of my friends when I was kids, we were put in front of the TV. A lot of times we weren't taught to be present and to be okay with just being with ourselves. I know a lot of people were put in front of the TV as a babysitter or as a way to kind of deal with the kids and not teach them that, it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. It's okay to not have to be constantly entertained. And then now, today, I know a lot of us are really connected with technology, and we choose to do other things other than be with ourselves. So, another way to become more present with what's going on within your own being is not just only to sit out in nature when you get a chance, but also if you're indoors or if you're, whatever you're doing, like chores. I mean, sometimes with laundry and stuff, I turn off the TV, turn off your phone, turn off your computer, and just sit for a minute, whether you're on the couch or whether you're in your closet because you need a break from the kids, or whatever you're doing in your office at work when no one else is around. Just turn everything off for a few minutes and just sit and check in, see how you really feel. And the most common awareness I think most people first find is how tired they really are. Most people are really, really tired. And that's, always they say the first sign of illness is fatigue. And, we're always so stressed to keep going and going. And even I see parents with little kids, they're always putting them in the next sport and the next activity. And after school, you have to be doing something. And they don't get a chance to just, come home, go outside and play in the dirt or ride their bikes around the block and go to the park. They're always involved in activities. So we learn from a young age not to kind of, listen intuitively to what is best for us, but to just keep up with, what everyone else thinks we should be doing. Yeah, so going outside, doing some deep breathing, holding the intention, just asking, the universe, like, hey, I'm getting tired of, the way I'm feeling, whether I'm stressed or I'm sick, and I'd like to be more aware. Just having that intention will also bring about more awareness. So I see more people are joining us. welcome. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Alexandra Stead, and I'm an emotional well-being and spiritual mentor and guide. I started out as a holistic nutritionist, and through working with other people and seeing what was really underneath their health issues, I moved into using my own intuitive gifts, which were probably really where I wanted to focus on healing anyway, with people with a deeper emotional side. So if you have any questions, comments, go ahead and feel free to put them in the comment section there. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I may not see them right away. Oh, hi, Melissa. Good to see you. So let's see, I have another email question. I just take a look here. Ooh, I like this one. This one is actually a question I actually get a lot too. Sip of water. So I often get this question from people who are skeptical of how I healed my body, because we're really, in this time of age, we're really focused on getting it right. And we're really focused on, there's a big holistic movement right now. And it's, you see health coaches everywhere with their own programs and they're wonderful programs. And a lot of them are great and bring about great healing. But there's a lot of people who are like, okay, so you healed, severe irritable bowel disease, which is an autoimmune disease, by feeling your emotions? Are you sure you didn't do like the right diet? Are you sure you didn't do, something else that really was what worked? Because a lot of people want to fix their health condition. They want to fix it. They don't, we see it as a problem. We see it as something wrong with us. And especially with autoimmune disease, I know the doctors told me it's my immune system malfunctioning. There's nothing you can do about it. Your body has just forgotten how to work. So now we have to suppress the symptoms. But I don't believe that. I don't believe anyone's body ever forgets how to work. Not at all. Our body is giving us a gift, even if we don't like it. I mean, even the days when I was in severe, severe pain, and I remember days when, with ulcerative colitis, which is what I had, you have very runny bowel movements, sometimes every 10 minutes for hours and hours a day, and the pain is excruciating. And I remember holding myself in the bathroom, holding myself up against the counter and the side of the wall, because the pain was so bad. Every time I go to the bathroom, I would get to the brink of passing out. And I wanted to be sure if I passed out, I didn't just fall down and hit my head or something. And so, people ask, like, and how can you really, heal that without, doing something else? And, well, everyone's going to have a different experience. And there's lots of different ways to heal, and I think all of them are great and valid. And I do consider myself right now, today, in this moment, healed. Now, it doesn't mean that I found the cure and that I'm going to forever now be free of symptoms, because that's absolutely not true. I don't have active disease right now. But I do, especially when I step out of my comfort zone and I become uncomfortable or a little bit agitated or irritated with whatever is going on in my life, I will have a little bit return of symptoms and a little bit of, gut issues there and stuff. And that's just how my body has always responded. It's not full-blown disease, but I know that if I ever go back to being, trying to live up to others' expectations, and if I ever go back to, which I don't see how it's possible, but not loving myself or being in acceptance of myself, then yeah, my body will become unbalanced and become diseased again. They say there's no cure for autoimmune disease, and I don't see it as, a disease that needs to be fixed and cured. It's a disease that's here to teach us. Well, just like all chronic illnesses, they're here to teach us. And when you are able to, look at what's really going on, what are the emotions I'm holding on to, what are the beliefs I have about myself, about life. Most of us have developed, concrete beliefs by the time we're about, 7 years old about how life really is and how it has to be. And a lot of times it doesn't feel good. It's not in alignment with who we are. And after so many years as a kid, trying to, please others, please our parents, our teachers, do what's expected of us instead of doing what's in alignment with ourselves, then our bodies start to reflect that. and start to break down and become ill. I was diagnosed at 17 with irritable bowel disease, and at the time, nobody believed it. It was, so long ago, it feels like. I remember the doctors telling me it's an old person's disease. Like, kids just don't have this. Like, this is impossible. They were just floored, and it was back before they even knew it was an autoimmune disease, that I would have this. But when I look back at how much stress I put on myself to be the perfect child, the straight-A student, the friendliest, nicest, kindest, did everything the right way. I mean, it was intense stress. And I know if I go back to that, then my body will go back to being diseased. And yeah, so I don't think there's any one like sure fast cure or healing. I know there's some people that have autoimmune disease, and they eat the right diets, or not the right diet, but they find a diet that works for them, and they remove maybe gluten and sugar and dairy and all that stuff that we're taught as nutritionists, as I was taught to take people through, which I think is very beneficial. And some people see lasting healing. They do. That's what they needed. So I always say, when you are on your healing journey and you set the intention and ask the universe for help, and you really trust yourself that you know what to do in every moment, and just staying present and just knowing that in the right moment you will meet the right person or the right healer, and that is where you are meant to go. It may be with the medical community, it may be with energy healing, it may be with herbalism, it may be with somebody who can help you, like I do, help you really look deeper down and change your perspective on life. And all of it is great and valid. And I say there's no one way to heal. There's no one way to heal. But yeah. So, all right. Don't have any questions or comments coming in, but I do have one more email one. So let us see. Kind of already actually combined some of those. Ooh, this is an interesting one. Okay. So this is an interesting one. Somebody, let me get a sip of water. So most people don't recognize this and don't think of our bodies in this way. So someone had messaged me and mentioned like her journey of healing fibromyalgia, or working through her fibromyalgia, and how she could see how certain emotions tied into flare-ups, which is totally what I believe that illness is definitely about, is not being in alignment and holding on to a lot of fear and other beliefs that don't serve you, aren't true for you. And she was saying how she worked through a lot of those emotions, but she would find, even after she didn't feel triggered by them, that she would still, at certain times of year, her body would have a flare-up for seemingly no reason. And it was, it's kind of frustrating and disheartening a bit. And so I can totally relate to this, because I had a situation. My gut, obviously, is very sensitive to stress and emotion, fear, anger, all of that. And there was a time when, there was one time a year in the summer where I had this opportunity every year to take this trip that I never felt good about going to visit. So what would happen is, for about 8 years, every time I thought about taking this trip in June, my gut I would flare up really horrible with ulcerative colitis. I mean, really, really bad. I would always cancel my flight a day or two before. And then I noticed, as I worked through the fears and the stress that was triggering that, and I no longer felt triggered by it, I noticed years after that I would still, in June, even when I was feeling really good, even when everything was going great, this particular week in June, I would still have a minor flare-up, not full-blown, but minor. And the first couple years it happened, it really bothered me and disheartened me. And I thought, what am I doing wrong? Because I worked through this. Like, I don't feel stressed. I don't feel the trigger. And one of my healers that has helped me greatly with physical healing on my body told me about cellular memory, and how every cell in our body is, holds on memories, especially at certain times of year. It can be triggered by, weather, holidays, events, whatever it is. If you become, stressed for so long, year after year, at that time, the body kind of holds on to that. And when that kind of that time of year comes about, the body starts to express and get ready for and kind of, remember what is coming, even if it's not coming. And so that's something that I think many people don't understand. And I like to tell people, too, is not every flare up, every illness, every, physical event you have is something that needs to be looked at and worked through in depth. Sometimes it just is, and you can just, talk to yourself really gently and kindly, and, just remind yourself that, you know what, you're right. I did used to get really stressed at this time, and that's okay. And, I always tell my body, it's okay that it's expressing the way it is, because every year it's getting better and better. And yeah, and it has, actually, it really has. It's kind of like reconditioning, retraining your body to, relax and ease into that time of year that used to be really stressful. And, your cells in your body, they all replace themselves every 7 years. So your body's constantly regenerating every 7 years. I don't know if you can hear that airplane. Every 7 years, you are completely a new person. And so it takes time. It takes time after having chronic illness and chronic stress for the body to really learn how to function in a healthy way, how to remain calm and relaxed in a very present state. So that was something that I wanted to address, in case that's something that maybe one of you is dealing with, and not to be hard on yourself, And if there is an emotion there or something that does need to be looked at, to just trust that you'll know. Ask yourself, you'll know. It'll be that first thought that comes up, like, oh, I think I'm actually feeling this, or I think I actually believe something that, doesn't feel right to me. And that's why my body's reacting. Or, I don't know why my body's reacting. I don't really feel it's connected to anything. I'm just going to go with the flow. It's okay. If I need to rest, if I need to take a few days off of work, whatever it is, I'm going to do that and give myself that love, and allow it to, work itself out. So that is, I guess that's all I have to talk today. I actually don't know how long I've been talking. I don't have a clock here. But thank you for joining me. This is really fun. I've always wanted to do a Facebook Live and step out of my comfort zone and talk to you all. So I will definitely be doing more, and some of them will be spontaneous. Some of them will be more scripted, and I'll post ahead of time what the topics are going to be. And I look forward to seeing you guys all again. Please make sure you like or share if it feels right to you, and we can invite more people to be able to join this experience with us. Thank you. Bye.